have any, because I'm a woman, yeah.
I assure you, I have the biggest balls out of all of us.
Kevin Costner was a
Glad I got that on audio.
wonderful bodyguard. Oh, it's a great movie. Go and see it, even though it came out about 30 years ago. And I will always love you and your dogs.
Are we done?
Hey, guess what?
We're rolling.
I knew we were rolling as well. That's why I kept going.
It's that Yunk Life Pod. It's that Yunk Life Pod. That Yunk Life Pod. That Yunk Life Pod. That Yunk Life Pod. Living that Yunk Life, baby.
Happy 4th of July, everybody.
Happy 4th of July.
Boo!
What? All right, so this is Gaz.
Hi.
And I'm Jessi. And this is
Hi.
our Bro-ducer Stub. Welcome back to the Yunk Life.
Hey.
Yeah.
I'm wearing a blue coat.
Yeah.
We got a red coat and a blue coat.
Yeah, I know.
It's going to be beef.
Jess, I'm not happy.
Why? Because you lost?
Yeah, lost the war.
Yeah, but if you hadn't lost the war, then Passyunk wouldn't really be a novelty over here. We wouldn't be the same thing. It's good you lost the war because
I
it brought us
know.
together
I
ultimately.
know, yeah. Well,
Through
we
the
did-
butterfly effect.
I guess we did sort of like silently leave, didn't we? We saw it
I
just when.
don't know if it was silent.
Well, yeah. Well, no, after seeing what Mel Gibson did to everybody in that movie, I'm guessing it's just like, yeah.
The Patriot? Is
Yeah,
that so? That's
yeah,
where
yeah.
you're getting your Revolutionary War
Yeah,
history from?
yeah,
Okay, just
yeah,
checking. Just
yeah.
checking what par we're on here.
It's
Yeah,
just like all Scotsmen get their history from
Braveheart?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how many Scotch
Scots love
people
that.
have just
Love that film.
unsubscribed based on
And
the
its
comment that you just
historical
made.
accuracy of Braveheart.
So
I mean, there
somehow,
was a period where he was just sort of like going, let's just fuck with the English for a bit.
how can I possibly spin this to be about the 4th of July? So Ben Franklin used to work in a printing press right where Braveheart was executed in Smithfield.
Really?
Indeed.
Yeah, so see, I brought it back to the 4th of July. You like that?
Yeah. What did he print? What kind of stuff was he printing?
I think that was an apprenticeship that he had there. So
Oh.
it would have just been pamphlets and newsletters. But when he moved to London, it was the first job that he got. He was a printer.
So,
Nice.
Gaz,
Yeah.
you can take our life, but you cannot take our
Shoes.
Printing.
freedom of the press.
Oh. You can't take my beer.
So somehow, everywhere I work, 4th of July ends up being the busiest day of the year. I worked for the Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum. Busiest day of the year. Statue of Liberty. By the way, I am dressed as the Statue of Liberty. Actually called Liberty Enlightening the World, just so we all know.
Indeed.
What was
Busiest
her
day of the
first
year. Liberty.
Libby.
Liberty Enlightening the World.
Her arm must be really sore after holding it up for all these years, man. 250 years,
Yeah.
holding up that baton or whatever.
It's going to be numb.
Yeah. You think when all of all of America goes to sleep, she just goes, oh, fuck me. Oh, God. Oh my God.
Well, she
Jesus
lives.
Christ.
She lives in the city that never sleeps. That's just
true.
not
Yeah,
possible.
that's true. Yeah,
Imagine
city
if she
never-
was like
yeah.
an actual, those guys that you see in the streets that just like, like living statues.
Yeah.
That just imagine if she was just
She's
one of
just a
those.
giant that's
Yeah.
been standing there
Yeah,
for
she
200
she
years.
fucked up the causeway in Ireland and then just went, oh shit.
I'm gonna
Right,
go
I need to
hide
get-
in Hudson
I'm gonna go
Bay.
hide. Yeah, she's just been standing there for years until Bill Murray and the Ghostbusters came along and
She's actually the longest standing Trojan horse operation ever.
Yeah,
The-
there's
the
somebody
French-
hiding in there.
The French are coming.
I assure you they're not, because I've been into every part of that building. I've been all the way up to the torch and everything. So there's nobody hiding in there,
So
at least.
you've
not that
got
I
all
know.
up into Lady Liberty's crevices.
I got all up in them crevices.
The
Many times.
The Statue of Liberty is also like a trademark landmark where superheroes like to fight each other as well.
Well, I made the mistake the day before I started working for the Statue of Liberty. I watched The Day After Tomorrow, which is where the Statue of Liberty gets encompassed by a tidal wave.
Well,
Yes.
I mean,
Not the best idea right before you
that's
start working
one
there.
historical moment
Yeah.
where the Statue of Liberty was incorporated into sort of popular culture. But let's not forget about Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Big
Yeah.
reveal.
Fair
Yeah.
play.
I mean,
Yep.
do you know what this means? If there's
Is that damn you all to hell? Is that yeah, that's it.
But do you know what this means? That if there is a global apocalypse of any kind, just hide in the Statue of Liberty because it survives everything. You know what I mean?
Based on Planet of the Apes.
And the day after tomorrow.
It
After
didn't
today,
survive
tomorrow.
that, did it?
Yeah, no, it was there.
Just underwater.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do have a point I'd like to make about the Statue of Liberty, because this bothered me the entire time I worked there. The poem that we all know so well, Give Us Your Tired, Your Poor, it was written by a lady named Emma Lazarus. And the statue opened in the late 1800s, so obviously women's rights were not in full effect yet. And poor Emma Lazarus was not invited to the opening ceremony because she was a woman. And that's always really bothered me.
Yeah. We should write an angry email to these people.
To a bunch of people that died in the late 1800s?
Sure, why not?
I mean, we could try,
We could
yeah.
send it out to space into a black hole.
We
so it
did
goes
already
back in
decide
time.
we were going to attempt time travel today to bring Ben Franklin here. So.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
I mean, if we could pull that off, then
we
maybe
are
we can
working
do
on it.
that.
Hey,
Well, you know,
Bro-ducer is on it. Let's see what
yeah.
happens.
Well, Stub has been working on some like mathematical equations to bend space time and sort of, fold the piece of paper and all that kind of stuff and just bring. And I think we're quite close to it. Last time I spoke to Stub, he was just like, "I'm almost there, mate. Just give me a few more whiskeys and I would have figured it out."
I've been on kites, and we're gonna figure it out.
I know none of us are educated enough to even figure this out, which goes to show that you don't need to be educated to figure out how to bend space time.
Well, it will show that if we do figure that out.
Yeah.
We haven't figured it out
No,
yet.
exactly.
So,
No. Well, we'll figure it out in a bit.
all right, let's bring it back to the 4th of July,
Okay,
shall
yes.
we? So,
America's birthday.
America's birthday, yes, which
Yes.
actually, was July the 2nd. John Adams was quoted as saying that he thought that July the 2nd would be a great day of great pomp and fireworks and all of that. He was 2 days off. It was 2 days later that they decided to celebrate. It was completely ratified by then. And they actually read it out on the 8th of July.
So
So
he
we-
was just really drunk, and he was just like, "I need 2 days off."
And also,
Well-
Thomas Jefferson had a lie-in. It was a whole thing.
Well, there's been debate that perhaps it was actually signed a month later on August the 2nd. But at some point, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, and Ben Franklin have all been quoted to say that they signed it on the 4th. So
Yes.
that's the day that we've
Were they
gone
all
with.
really good mates? Like, would they like go to the pub afterwards and be like, just going, "Guys,
John Adams and Thomas Jefferson were decent friends that
Yes.
disagreed quite often.
Ah.
Cool fact about those two, they both died on the 4th of July, the 50th anniversary of the 4th of July.
Mm.
And
Within a couple
Jefferson
of
died
hours.
first, and Adams' last words were Jefferson lives.
Oh, nice. Do you know who else died on the 4th of July?
All the aliens in Independence Day?
No, but I'm glad. I was gonna get to. I was gonna get. No, well, that they actually all didn't die because there was a sequel, wasn't there? So
I just
like,
assumed that's what you were going to say.
No, I was actually gonna.
I
say
only
it.
said it because I know
No,
you.
but you were close. I was gonna say John Connor.
Oh, okay, close.
John
Yeah,
Connor
I
from the
was
Terminator
close.
series, but he dies in the future.
But he was born on the 4th of July.
No, he was. Well, you're talking
That
about
was Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise. Well, the guy that Tom
Not the
Cruise
character,
played.
Tom Cruise himself.
Yes.
The guy that
He-
Tom. I mean, there's probably a lot of people that are born on the 4th of July.
Yeah.
Right.
There's only 366 days you could
Yeah,
be born. So
exactly. Yeah.
To finish the question you asked me, I believe John Adams couldn't stand Ben Franklin because John Adams was a very moral lawyer, by the book kind of guy, and Ben Franklin was kind of eclectic and like the ladies a bit.
So if
Like the ladies a bit, but not his drinks so much.
so, out of the
He drank in moderation.
He drank enough to get gout, so
So out of the three of us, who
Yes.
would be each of those people? Like, who's
Ooh.
Thomas Jefferson out of the three of us? Thomas
Hmm.
Jefferson, John
I'd
Adams.
say
and-
Stubbs probably are Thomas Jefferson because
Okay,
he's
right.
the guy that facilitates.
Mm.
Okay.
I'd say you're Ben Franklin because you're fucking nuts. And I'd say I'm probably John Adams because I'm second best at everything. And he
you're not
was
second
he was the
best.
first vice president, so he was, second.
I guess
He
that
was the
makes,
second president. He
that
got the
makes
date
sense.
wrong on the 2nd of July.
Fair
And
play.
I associate with that.
If only I figured out.
But he was
peeing-
the smartest. I mean,
He was the smartest by far.
I think
Smartest
they
is
were all
not the
very
word.
Smart. Yeah, just,
Smartest is not the word per se, but
maybe the most deft at dealing with people.
or
I would
most
say.
most learned is how I'd put it because
Yeah,
he
I think
he
that's
did
right.
he made enemies by defending the British during the Boston Massacre.
Also true.
Whereas Ben Franklin was a very people-oriented person. He didn't like
Yeah.
when people disliked him. So I think that they were different in that way.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I can't relate with that because I don't care if people don't like me,
Fair enough.
but I'm sure everybody does. Do you all like me? People who are listening, looking right now, please
Leave
tell
us a
me.
comment.
Leave us a comment.
Leave Gaz a
Say who-
comment
yeah.
so that he doesn't have some
Just
kind of
say that
breakdown
I-
that
just
nobody
say that
likes
I-
Send
him.
her the big
There's someone
hand
off
heart
camera
emoji.
right now
Yeah,
flipping me off.
Let's get let's get some hand heart emojis going
Yeah,
for
hand heart
Gaz in the
emojis,
comments
please.
today,
Yes,
okay?
Come on, I need the confidence boost.
So
Gaz
as I
is
was
on.
saying, somehow it ends up being the busiest day of the year. Obviously, Passyunk Avenue, all the expats are looking to have their 4th of July celebration with us.
Yes.
And every year it's insane.
Yeah.
I can't remember one that was actually mellow.
Well, but the one that I remember the most was when I got invited. I didn't get invited like straight away. Were you there too? I was probably too drunk to even remember how.
I don't know what you're talking about, so give me the rest of the
So
story.
there was
Seems to
one
be a
year.
trend,
There
Gaz.
was this one year when I was I was asked to tag along. I'm not going to say I got invited straight out because I don't think anybody would have expected to invite me anyway. But I tagged along to the party of people that from Passyunk who were invited to go to the 4th of July party at the US Embassy house up in Regent's Park.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I went to that. I dressed as a sailor, or I looked like a sailor. Apparently, that's what Dan said to me. Anyway. You look like a sailor.
Just your tattoos.
It's because I was wearing a jacket, but I was wearing some like funny shoes.
Like boat shoes?
Wow.
Yeah, they look like boat shoes.
All right.
Sorry, there
Nice.
was a burp in there. But I do remember going there, and I just felt like, well, this is a privilege, right? To get invited to the 4th of July party at the US Embassy
That's pretty
house
cool.
and all that kind of stuff
Yep.
up in Regent's Park. I had to walk there though. They didn't send the car. Pissed me off.
You weren't
I was-
that important.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So, but I remember going. I went with the guys from PBR and stuff like that, and like I literally just tagged along, and I haven't been invited back since. but I did just turn up, and it was really cool because they had like a stage set up, and they had like a bunch of bands on.
Who was playing that year?
I
Guess.
can't remember. He's
All right.
some dude who sings really well.
Ooh.
He's like an
that
opera
helps.
singer. I don't know. Yeah, like I can't really.
I got a Passyunk 4th of July memory I want to share.
Well, can I just finish this?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. I thought you were
So
done.
so basically, like I went there and I was told there's gonna be fireworks and stuff, and I was like, yeah, cool, I love fireworks, yeah, sweet, and all that kind of shit. There were food trucks, and it was this big, massive garden. I wasn't allowed in the house for some weird reason. I don't know why. But they just had buckets of beer like stashed everywhere. So I was like, this is cool. So I basically just drank so much that I got asked to leave because
All right.
there was when the band started, or when basically there was this moment where I sort of looked up from an empty beer bucket just sloshing around some ice, trying to look for the next beer that I was gonna drink.
Yes.
I looked up and everybody was looking the opposite way over my shoulder, and I was like, what's going on? And there was just like, and they were doing all the speeches and stuff, and I was just like, oh, I'm gonna need another beer. So I just wandered to the back, and this guy just said to me, are you all right? I was like, no, not really, I need a beer. And he just went, this way, please. And it was the way out. And, I
At
ended
least
up
he was
walking
subtle
out.
about it.
But I missed the fireworks.
Oh, no.
I missed the fireworks. And but that was about it.
So I'll jump in on this, guys.
Yeah.
That party is at Winfield House, which is the residence of the U.S. ambassador to
Yeah.
London.
I said
It's
that.
the
I said that already.
It's the second largest private residence in London.
Do you know what the
Sweet.
first is? Buckingham Palace?
Yes, Buckingham Palace.
I've
is
been
the
to
first.
both. I've been to both.
All
Sweet. Yeah, I've been inside those houses.
I will say we're recording this a little before the party,
Mm.
but in a later episode, I'll tell you who's playing this year. You don't remember who was playing? that
No,
year?
I can't remember.
All right.
But apparently
Somebody-
it's always somebody amazing.
Is it Gary Barlow?
I will tell you. Last year it
It's
was
Robbie
Take,
Williams, isn't it?
It was Take That.
Take that.
Well, they're playing this year.
No, last year was Take That.
Is it Oasis? It's Oasis.
Sans Robbie Williams. I don't know who's playing this year, but I will share.
It's Oasis, isn't it?
I will share who played that
Alright, you
show
bunch of dickheads.
after I attend that.
I want to
this
tell my Passyunk story.
All right, okay,
Yes.
sorry. Yeah. We've gone on for long enough now.
Okay, so
Shut up, Gaz.
Passyunk Avenue is always insane on the 4th of July. And this particular one, we had a problem with the booking system. So
Ooh.
basically, it was taking bookings for 2-hour increments, but not telling anybody. So
Oh,
they didn't
no.
know they had a time limit.
Oh,
And then beyond that, it was putting bookings ending at 8:30 and then starting at 8:30. So there was no turnover time on these tables.
Oh.
And on top of that, it was pissing it down with rain. So I had nowhere to put these poor people that were looking for tables. So needless to say, plenty of people were very upset with the scenario. I've got a group of longtime Yunk Lifers sitting at table 1, Max and family, shouting them out.
Yeah.
That's
So-
here at Cleveland Street.
Here
right?
at Cleveland
All right,
Street, which
yeah,
is
the-
tiny.
the
So
OG,
there's
yeah.
nowhere to put
No.
anybody when they have to wait.
Nope.
So I've got this group, this family at the front table that kind of are my home base. And I go up to them, I'm like, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm going to have to ask you to leave. We have another table coming in. We only had 2-hour increments today. And there's another group of people coming in. And their 12-year-old daughter said, are those people British? And I said, I don't know. And she said, tell those people to suck it.
Wait a minute. Hang on a second.
That literally broke my bad mood, and the rest of the night was magical.
It's amazing.
Regardless of the booking system, we had an excellent 4th of July.
I've always had a good time on the 4th of July, actually. Like, every time we've been around, it's just sort of like...
There was
trying
one
to
year
help
with
out
you and I
ourselves.
and the sparklers outside. That
Yeah.
picture we have of us in the rain.
Yeah. I dressed up as PBR man. I out PBR'd the original PBR man from PBR.
Was that when you were wearing the boxers with the...
No, that was the first one I think I did at Passyunk.
That was
yeah.
the 4th year we were
Yeah.
open or something.
I
like
had
that.
to put this. I had to put. So I bought some American flag, like boxer shorts.
Yeah, of
but didn't
course.
realize just how revealing they were.
Oh, he was classy
Yeah.
as fuck. That
I remember
day.
I
He had a
sent-
denim vest.
Yeah,
on.
I sent you. Do you remember I sent you a picture saying, "What do you think?" And you were just like, "I can see your junk." And I was like, "Right, okay, well."
He wore them anyway.
Yeah, more or less revealing than the Green Man suit we've talked about before.
Equally
Oh,
revealing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God, when did I talk about that? Which
Wow.
which?
Episodes ago. Yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember. Oh well.
Oh.
You can see all the curves and the outlines. I guess.
So we've talked about the founding fathers. We talked about the Statue of Liberty. I think another huge icon would probably be the Liberty Bell, which later today I've arranged for somebody from the place where the Liberty Bell was made to come and join us and tell us some about it. So if you have any questions about the Liberty Bell, get it in your head right now.
Sweet. Oh, I'm yeah. I mean, I like bells. Bells are cool. Bells. We have the Liberty Bell as our thing. Right. As our logo. The bell. It's a bell with a crack in it.
Because it's in Philadelphia.
Yeah, because it's in Philly. That's why I knew that. Shut up. I know. Stop sending all these comments.
Jess,
Go
I
ahead, man.
love that you booked someone and you're wanting me to conjure Ben Franklin later.
I mean, that's more important, really. I
mean-
can get a guy from now to talk about stuff, but I really would like
Fair
Ben
enough.
Franklin to show up.
Hey, Bro-ducer's job
In
is
fact,
never
can
done.
we try and get him right now?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Maybe if we all snap our fingers.
Oh,
Ready?
yeah.
If we all snap
All
our
right.
fingers.
Ready?
we
All
can-
at the same time.
1, 2, 3. Well, hello. We have some special guests with us.
No, sorry. There are people next to us.
Yeah, I told you I invited Ben Franklin.
Oh, hey, I thought you were the guy from Back to the Future.
He copied my do.
Yeah, he probably did. It's a good do. I like it. It's really
Thank
Both
you.
doctors, Gaz.
It's both
Technically,
doctors.
yeah.
So actually, we have some friends with us from the Ben Franklin Museum today in honor of the 4th of July. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
I am Dr. Megan King, aka Ben Franklin for today. And I am Jess Ingram playing Polly Hewson today.
Thank you so much for joining us, guys. I think everybody's probably curious who the hell Polly Hewson is, so you might want to start with that one.
Especially me being a redcoat. I need to know who.
She's
Polly-
one of your own.
Yeah, oh, really?
Yeah, you can't tell.
Oh, is that why you were? No, I knew this. All right, I'm just playing dumb. I knew this. I did my research on Wikipedia.
So who was Polly Hewson? Can you tell our audience?
Polly Hewson was the daughter of the landlady that was the owner of the house that Benjamin Franklin rented.
Cool.
So-
And were they friends or
Yeah.
were
Almost
they a close?
very, very close.
household?
Almost like a father-daughter relationship, but not blood related.
Nice.
Hi, Dad.
We always say that Ben was sort of like a surrogate father / fun uncle for Polly.
Okay.
So yeah, they had a really
He seems like he would
tight-knit
be a fun uncle for everybody, to be honest.
A funkle, if you will.
A funkle, yeah.
Yeah.
Like you're a funkle.
I am a funkle. Yeah. A fun uncle.
Fun uncle.
That's one moniker. I've been-
I have to say, I don't like fant as much.
No,
Let's not
funkle.
call me a
Yeah.
fant.
The British term for funkle.
You can call me
is-
funkle.
Yeah. I mean, the British term for funkle is Uncle Nobbet. So there you go.
If you look it up.
We all know that. Yeah, definitely. It's on.
So the reason I wanted you guys to join us today is because Ben Franklin, as we all know, was not from Philadelphia, ran away, lived in Philadelphia from 16, 17 years old, and stayed because he loved it so much, which is something that's happened to all of us here, as Gaz can attest to. We all love Philly. But he also loved London. And one of his houses is on Craven Street in London. So why don't you tell us a bit about Ben living in London?
So Ben sort of actually had 2 stints in London. So not long after he runs away to Philly, he actually comes into contact with Governor Keith, who was then the governor of Pennsylvania. And Governor Keith sees a lot of promise in him as a printer. So he says to Ben, I will go ahead and pay for you to go to London to study. That's where you need to be to really perfect your craft. So Ben takes him up on the offer. And it's only when he's basically en route to London as a teenager that he realizes the money never came through. Any support just wasn't there. So Ben kind of pulls himself up by his bootstraps, and he finds an apprenticeship basically at Samuel Palmer's print shop.
Which was in St. Bart's, right?
Yeah.
In St. Bartholomew's?
Yeah, and they're actually doing an amazing program there right now, so it's definitely worth checking out. They have like replica printing presses, and the
Very
stuff
cool.
there are lovely, so definitely worth a visit. So yeah, it's kind of where he stays there and sort of first really truly kind of cuts his teeth as a printer. And then yeah, it's back to Philly for a while. And then in 1757, he returns to London. So in the first instance, he's basically told, can you go over maybe 6 months or so? As always, there was a taxation conflict in the colonies. So Ben
It was
was
something
kind
to
of
do as well with him. Wasn't he the representative to the Penns? Or for the Penns
sort of
family?
Yeah, so he was liaising with the Penns. The Pennsylvania Assembly had actually requested that he go over to kind of position himself on Craven Street, so that way the Penns, who had their familial home just on the other side of Trafalgar Square, they sort of thought, Ben can connect with them. If they're not willing to pitch in and pay their fair share of taxes in the province, then Ben's equally in a good place to chat to the crown.
So
and
kind
sort
of
of
an
force
unofficial ambassador, like a level below ambassador. The
Yeah,
in to
absolutely.
get to the crown to have this conversation, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was his first big foray into public politics. So it was a super formative time for him, really.
It's great. And I did read that Ben was a bit, what's the word? Eclectic, we'll go with.
Mhm.
I did read that one of his things was he believed that fresh air was good. And when he lived at Craven Street, he would air himself naked on the balcony. Is that true?
That is accurate, yes.
Yeah, because he thought that the air was good for him. So he would stand outside naked every morning.
Who found that out? It
Well,
was like-
obviously his neighbors across the street.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
they didn't have social media back then. They can't put him on so there's some dude like just standing naked.
The Craven Street
Yeah.
Facebook group.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, like, what? That's one hell of a fact to like just go down in history.
Yeah.
So,
You think-
I mean, he was pretty much shameless as they come. So he actually documented this. So that's how we know
There you are.
that he was
He was
basically
proud.
He was
committing
the first
indecency.
He was the first ever blogger
Yeah.
in the universe.
Well, he was a printer. That kind of makes sense.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Colonial blogger.
What other shameless stuff did he get up to?
Well, rumor
That we can
also
say.
has it. So aside from the whole air bathing, which when I first read this, I think it was a diary entry of his, I sort of thought it was like a quick flash, take a deep breath, whatever, get your robe
You
back
said
on.
Flash. That's funny.
He knows all about flashing our Ben.
But no, apparently it was like sometimes it would be an hour or more, just whenever he felt that like his mindfulness time had sort of come to an end. But I guess equally, kind of on the same trend, realistically, apparently he wasn't a huge fan of chamber pots.
Oh.
So if it was appropriate, i.e. if it was a number one, he would just go out the back window into the courtyard.
I think I would get along. If I went on a night out with him, I think I'd have a great time.
I have a feeling
You know
too.
what I mean? Hey, Ben, where's the bathroom? Window there, mate.
Wherever you want it to
Yeah.
be.
That's
So-
similar to London today, by the way.
Yeah,
On a night out, if it's late,
probably.
for the gents especially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although
Well,
I-
if you walk around London and you notice in most of the architecture in the corners of the oldest parts of the city, you'll find like spikes and things that were put to prevent men from urinating in the corners. So it was pretty common that people would just whip it out and pee.
I can't imagine just walking down the street back in those days and just be like, oh, is it raining? It's like, oh, Ben! Ben!
God, put it away!
Put it away! Oh, God, it's in my mouth! Oh, God, put it away, man! Jesus Christ!
Well, this is kind of a nice little segue because I know this was something you wanted to discuss as well. Speaking of eclectic, at some point in the excavations in the 90s, I believe it was, they found human bones in Ben Franklin's cellar, in the floor in the cellar. Do you care to elaborate on exactly what that was? Because I've heard things as far as him being a vampire, him being Jack the Ripper.
Mhm.
Can you tell us what actually was going on in Ben's basement?
Yeah, so this is actually one of our favorite rumors to
He was a
correct.
serial killer.
Yeah.
To set the record
Really?
straight.
That would have been cool if he was Jack. Well, no, that wouldn't have been
I
cool. No, cut that out.
Too
Cut
soon,
that
guys.
out.
Should I-
Too soon.
Should I also mention that that was 100 years
Time
later?
period.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, whatever.
Anything
Okay.
can happen. Yeah.
But yeah, so it's a bit shameful for me as an American because it's primarily Americans who come in with these sort of conspiracy theories. But yeah, our favorite one that we hear is, oh yeah, I already know about these bones because I heard on the Joe Rogan podcast that Ben was a serial killer. So it's kind of
You
instantly
hear that,
like,
Joe Rogan? We're setting the record straight.
Yeah.
We got the actual truth going on.
Well, that's
Come
what
at us,
happens.
bro.
Well, that's what
Come be
happens
on
when-
our podcast. We'll get
Exactly.
the
We'll
record
talk
straight.
about it.
I guess that's what happens when you research history after smoking a big giant split.
Well, not necessarily. I know
No,
the facts.
probably
let's try, see what happens.
Yeah.
So he was not a serial killer, right?
He was not.
Okay.
In reality, Polly's husband, William, once he marries into the family, he has a bit of a falling out with the doctors that he trained under. He trained under the Hunter brothers, who the Hunterian Museum across town is named after. And of course, as you do, the next logical step is open up your own anatomy school in your mother-in-law's backyard.
Of course.
So, yeah.
Does that- Did everybody just do that?
I don't know. This is I have a small sample size, so I don't really know. But
I mean, imagine asking for that for Christmas. Mum, for Christmas, I want to open an anatomy place in your back garden, so you're gonna have to dig up. It's just that's what I want.
what do you do with all that grass anyway? You know?
Yeah, exactly. What are you gonna do? Apart from bury people under it, I guess.
So for about 2 years, what's now our sort of seminar room, so it's the first point of the house tour that people kind of congregate in. In those days, it was all outdoor courtyard space. So when they're excavating to add this little extension onto the grade 1 listed side of the house, they wound up finding about 1,200 bone fragments.
Wow.
So pretty quickly, call in forensics teams to get everything sorted. And their response was sort of like, these bones are like 200 years old. Like, we can't do much with them. But we were, because of some of the specific markings and like cutting patterns on specifically like the skulls, they were able quite quickly to track these back to Hewson. And yeah, that's where we found that this anatomy school operated for about 2 years. And he would do public autopsies and cadaver labs right there in the backyard.
Okay, so I'm going to have to ask, is this the period of time then when grave robbery was a big thing and all of that for anatomical studies? You weren't allowed to actually have a body, so that's kind of where grave robbing came from. Dare I ask where Hewson was getting the bodies?
The top of the road, they used to do public hangings,
Okay.
and either himself or his like friends, I guess, would go up there dead of night, take him down, bring him into the mother-in-law's basement essentially, and just go ham, go crazy.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
So imagine just sitting with Ben Franklin, just drunk after peeing out the window, and just being like, "What should we do tonight, lads? You know, it's, well, it's a couple of dead bodies up the road. Should we just steal them? No one will know. No one will know. No one will see us. Yeah, sure. Let's do that."
So that was like, that was one of two options. So probably the most common one was your good old fashioned grave robbing.
Right.
Fresh graves from the churchyard, whatever. But yeah, there was like a facet of Georgian law that said any medical educational facility could claim up to 4 bodies per year from the gallows.
Right.
So it's perfectly plausible that some of the remains we found there were from people who had been executed for whatever
Interesting.
reason.
Oh, and
So,
also
yeah.
we have found turtle bones too. They're my favorite.
Oh yeah.
Meaning they were experimenting on the turtles or eating the turtles or what are we doing here? What's going on with the
Eating the
turtles?
turtles. That's
Turtle soup was a thing, right?
Turtle
Lewis
soup.
Carroll
Yeah.
talks
That's a
about
tough
it.
I mean,
sandwich to bite into.
It is in Pennsylvania, where my hillbilly family's from.
That's cool. I'm from Bumblefuck, New Jersey too, so I feel you. Yeah, so again, experimenting, is that an anatomy thing we think, or?
Yeah, I think he was interested in sort of like I'm not a sciencey person, but something with like the proteins and stuff that made up turtle bones
Okay.
was something that he used to sort of advance his understanding of human anatomy.
So off subject, another thing I wanted to ask you about was Ben's time with the Masons, because I'm pretty sure he was initiated into the Masons while being in London. Is that correct?
I believe so, yeah.
And I know at the time, St. Clement Danes, which is not far from you, was used as a Masonic lodge often. So that probably would have been where he frequented.
I believe so, yeah.
And as far as being a Mason, do you think that affected him politically in any way? Or do you think that that was just like a side hobby?
I absolutely think it affected him politically. Yeah, so he was super interested. I mean, he was very much like a social animal or whatever they say.
Yeah.
So I think sort of anywhere where he could sort of involve himself and engage in discussion, debate, whatever, he was completely for.
That was actually my thought, was that it was kind of a political move to become a Mason because it gave him the in with some of these elite over here that
Exactly.
he wouldn't have been in with.
Yeah. And then even in Philly, so social groups like that were huge in Philly as well. So it would have been sort of a society that he already had at least some level of understanding with.
Right.
And then, yeah, he kind of had those transatlantic connections.
The,
Yeah.
the Masons was like a
Like
gentleman's club kind of thing.
Kind of,
was.
yeah.
Is.
I was
Still
actually-
is, yes.
I was actually going to elaborate too. He was also part of something called the Hellfire Club, which was a slightly more occult version of the Masons, but it was like gentry that would
Isn't
get
Stranger
together.
Things.
No, I was gonna
It
say,
is,
yeah.
absolutely.
Listen, Stranger Things was just blinking off in my head. I was
Well,
like,
that
it's
they
like,
got that from
what?
something else. It was a historical thing
Hellfire.
before that.
It was like a biker gang before there were bikes.
A gentleman's club that did seances and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, cool, sweet.
Like an occult gentleman's club.
Nice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Let's talk to the dead. That's pretty cool.
So tell us a bit about your museum. How can people come visit? Do you do school groups? What's the concept? I know that it's not open to the public at all times. You have to have a guided tour.
Mhm.
But if our listeners want to come check you guys out and see where Ben Franklin hung out over here, how do they do that?
Literally hung out. Yeah, so at present we're only open Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but we're in the process of kind of getting some new offerings up and running. So we should ideally be open Wednesday through Sunday.
Cool.
Currently on Fridays, we have a history and architecture tour. So it's just your sort of standard guided tour where we walk you through Ben's time in London, how he would have enjoyed the house, how he would have connected with the family who lived there. Fun fact, Polly actually emigrated to Philly after her mother died. She's buried in Bucks County.
Oh, wow. After Ben Franklin
Oh,
died, I
Bucks,
take
yeah.
it.
No, so she actually made it to Philly pretty
Oh,
much
with
just
him.
in time.
That's cool.
Yeah, and she and her 3 children were pretty much there with him when he passed away.
Oh, that's really
So,
nice.
yeah, it's
So
kind
it
of
was
a nice
lifelong.
full circle moment after the, war years had sort of settled.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's sort of our Friday offering. Saturdays and Sundays, we have a sort of theatrical retelling of Franklin's time in London. So basically each room is like a different little episode.
Cool.
Within the almost 16 years that he lived at Craven Street. We have, a phenomenal actor who takes people room to room dressed as Polly Hewson and kind
Nice.
of gives us Polly's side of Ben's time there. And
Very
then
cool.
we reserve Tuesdays for our education program. So we're very fortunate to be supported by the Daughters of the American Revolution. And through their help, we can offer our school program completely free of charge.
Oh, that's
So we
really
have
nice.
an absolutely fantastic education manager, Henry, who is a one-man team. And basically, if schools can't come to us, then he takes it upon himself to go out to them. So
amazing.
That's really cool.
they come
Here in
and
the
do.
UK,
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, are most of your visitors, is there a 50-50 split between locals and Americans coming over? Or what do you find internationally as far as your visitors to the museum?
Yeah, I would say it's 50-50, 40-60, somewhere in that range. We've recently had a huge uptick in British visitors, which has actually been really nice to see. But there seems to be a divide because when the Americans come through, they want to hear that, patriotic narrative they're so excited about. But the British visitors are kind of more interested in seeing like our grade 1 listed hardwood floors and our original cornice.
Of course.
So when you're giving these tours, you kind of have to be able to like read the room and make sure you're accommodating both.
Hey, you
interests.
just described every bit of being part of Passyunk Avenue. We got to accommodate both.
I gotta
I
ask you
really-
this. What is the most common question you get from visitors about Ben Franklin as far as like lore, misconceptions, truths, whatever, half-truths? What is the most common question you get?
Probably was he a player?
The answer is yes,
That's
right?
well done. Did he have syphilis though?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever gotten that one, honestly.
No comment.
No, you really don't get that because that's a thing like in America
Yeah.
for people of a certain age. Like it was pretty much assumed that he had syphilis and contracted syphilis when he was on his travels in Europe.
I was
He didn't
telling
have
Stub
syphilis,
earlier.
he had gout.
Gout,
Gout.
Yeah,
definitely.
we
Ben
focus on the
Franklin,
gout.
Yeah.
Ben Franklin versus the Gout is one of my favorite things to read still to this day. It's so good. But I used to work for a living history museum in Philadelphia called the City Tavern. So it was a functioning restaurant. It's actually where they had the very first 4th of July celebration, was in the City Tavern. But anyway, I was serving in a room one night.
What year was
and
that, Jess?
I was serving in the City Tavern one night, and one of my guests happened to be part of the Ben Franklin Society, so they called me in, being the historian, to go in and talk to everybody. And I very hyperbolically said, Ben Franklin probably had syphilis anyway, just referring to him being a player. This guy was so mad that I had said that. And I'm talking emailed me for months with different proof articles of how there was nothing that said he had syphilis and I shouldn't be saying that. And I was really just trying to make a generalization. I didn't mean it, but I learned my lesson in that moment.
So Ben Franklin adopted you, Polly, right? Is he?
I think I adopted him.
Oh, you
would be
adopted him?
Yeah, I think it might be that way around.
So you had to look after him when he was, coming back from a night out and stuff like that.
There's beautiful, beautiful letters that when he went back to America that we exchanged in. So we'd write letters to each other, keeping track of everything and up to date. Polly took a big interest in his experiments. She was well read for a Georgian woman. And so I think they came together on philosophy and science, which is quite sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really cool to see sort of the difference in relationship. So with Polly, Ben was like much more easygoing and fun, whereas with his own biological daughter Sally, it was much more heavy-handed. Like, are you doing your lessons? Are you helping your mother? So I think Polly kind of got the sweeter end of the deal.
Yeah.
Well, bags at dawn.
Also, his son was a loyalist, and actually he's buried in St. Pancras Churchyard in London, or was. I'm not sure if his stone is still there, but he was buried there. And that was a big point of contention for Ben, that's the way that his son went. So I'm sure meeting Polly and having this new outlet that supported him was probably something he needed right at that point in his life.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say so.
Well, this has been amazing, guys. Thank you so much for traveling to the future to hang out with us.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. And guys, if you're ever in London, go check out Franklin's house. There's just as much history of him over here as there is over there.
Ooh, I've got something.
Oh, okay.
Because we're talking about the Revolutionary War, right? And
Ooh, Gaz has something. I'm
I
excited.
do, yeah. Being a redcoat, I'm kind of the odd one out here.
Yeah.
Being, the representative of all the redcoats.
Polly.
Oh, hi, Polly. Yes, no, I forget. Oh,
You changed
sorry, my
sides.
bad.
Yeah.
You did change sides. So
Yeah, you did. Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Why?
Mucho scandalo.
What's that mean?
Why did I? Just very scandalous.
you had nothing.
Oh,
Your
okay.
mom
Scandalous.
was dead, your
They must have
husband
had
was dead.
Mancunians back in the day.
You know.
I mean, you've kind of changed sides at this point, haven't you?
Probably, yeah. Well, I kind of have to. I signed a contract, so I kind of have to.
You and I have changed sides as well at this point.
Yes.
So I wrote this very unserious, stupid list of reasons why the British could have won the Revolutionary War, but didn't because we suck. Right?
Okay.
So, this isn't supposed to be taken seriously, but I thought it was very funny and informative in a way. This is
I'm
not...
still going to tear apart your enactment.
Yeah, no, and please feel free to tear it apart, because that's why I'm here. So, 1, we had tea power. Because any army fueled by tea every 45 minutes is basically unstoppable. So imagine trying to fight a redcoat who's just had a fresh cup of Earl Grey tea. Now that is elite hydration and refined rage.
Is that like the Vikings going berserker? The English have tea.
I guess you could say so. Yeah,
Well, no, you don't, because we threw it all in the harbor.
yeah. Fair enough. Number 2, the king had a fancier hat. George III.
Yeah.
Is that historically accurate?
That is, yeah.
That's
Well
correct,
done.
yes.
Someone's seen Hamilton.
Yeah. He had at least 12 elaborate powdered wigs and a crown.
Okay, that
George-
might not be true, but go on.
So, I don't know if this next part's true.
At
George
least
Washington had wooden teeth and a dream.
Okay. Yeah, go
Did
on.
Did he have wooden teeth? Is that
They actually
Yeah.
would have been made out of animal bone, most likely.
what?
Yeah.
Really?
But he had false teeth.
Right, cool. That's pretty cool. Right.
What?
So the British clearly had more style points, and wars are basically historical fashion shows. Hey. Yeah?
You know, I'm going to make an actual fact come out of this.
You
Ben
sounded like
Franklin, when Ben Franklin was in France trying to raise some money for us to be able to fund the war, he actually wore like a coonskin cap and made himself look really rustic to kind of play that up to the French. And they totally bought into it to the extent that French people had a portrait of Washington with his raccoon skin hat
Correct.
on their mantles. It was fashionable.
Nice.
So yeah,
Should have got me one of those for
Fancier
this.
hats actually
we
do
have one
play
at
a
the
part
house
in
we could
this.
have brought.
Yeah.
That's my bad.
Right. No, I'm coming down to the house just to try on this rocking stuff. All right. So here's
Go
the
on.
next one.
Yep.
Red coats equal visibility equal confidence. Now,
Also equal easy targets.
well, wait until you see what I've written down. The British literally wore bright red coats in the forest and still managed to nearly win, but didn't, obviously. That's the kind of overconfidence that could have won the war, unless we found ourselves in a field full of very disgruntled and pissed off bulls.
Yeah, that would have been
Yeah,
bad.
that would have been really bad.
It's bad enough. You don't need to add the bulls.
This next one's my favourite. I know
All right.
you'll like this one.
Mhm.
Paul Revere was basically just doing Uber Eats. You can add this into your...
Do you care to
Yeah,
elaborate
I
on that one?
Well,
Before I
so
slap you.
the British basically lost to a man yelling, "The British are coming!" in an American accent, obviously.
Yeah.
On a midnight horse ride. Probably because of our bright red uniforms. Now, if Just Eat had existed back then, we could have tracked him down and shut him up in 12 minutes with an artillery-sponsored coupon code. Right?
Oh, where do I even start picking this
Yeah,
one
I know,
apart?
There's
Yeah.
a lot to unpack here.
Right. I mean, Paul Revere didn't even yell that. It was a poem. It was probably the other guy that said anything, if he said anything.
Yeah.
But
You know, just...
it was one if by land, two if by sea. It had nothing to do with the red. What do you want? Which part of this do I take apart?
Well, the whole thing. I mean, that's why I'm reading it out. You know, well,
Although,
actually,
I
didn't
do
read-
like the coupon idea.
Well, you know, when I was doing research, I was like, oh, Paul Revere. Like, I thought it was just the name of a Beastie Boys song, to be honest.
Oh my god.
To be honest, Jess, we can insert a little bit of
Careful what you
Schoolhouse Rock here.
Yeah.
You're
Please
Riding
do.
dying to
Paul
do this.
Revere, set the nation on its ear. Right? I mean, come on.
Stub has been determined to use Schoolhouse Rock at some point today, so congrats
I
on
mean,
getting
we've
it
got
in there.
Lovely Lady Liberty.
There you go. All right, got anything
Yeah,
else
yeah.
for us?
I got 3 more.
Three more?
Yeah. We invented the phrase "keep calm and carry on," even though we didn't say it for another 150 years. But spiritually, they were already carrying on calmly with monocles.
Why monocles?
I don't know. It's the first thing that popped into my
Were
head.
they invented yet?
I don't know. Were monocles invented back then? Who came up with a monocle?
Ben
I
Franklin
mean,
made
bifocals were
bifocals.
invented. I
Yeah.
can tell you that.
Why was it always just one? Why was it always just one piece of glass?
Why do
like
I feel like this isn't the first time we've talked about monocles on
It's
this show?
not actually.
that? No, I don't remember talking about monocles.
No, we
Oh,
definitely
wait,
did because
you-
we talked
you
about
went
how
on
to.
how do you keep a
Oh,
monocle
we were
in
talking
our
about
episode
Monopoly
before.
Man, weren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking like Mr. Peanut.
Mr. Peanut, that's a good monocle.
May have come up before.
He
as
was
well.
the Planters Peanuts ad. I don't think he had that here. I'll show you later.
Oh, okay, cool.
He had a monocle.
All right, 2 more. 2 more. I'll get through these.
Okay.
Okay. We had cheese and America had corn. So it's hard to win a war. I'm glad you're enjoying this.
I feel like I know where this is going.
It's hard to win a war when your cuisine is literally just maize. Meanwhile, Britain was out there serving up sharp cheddar and spotted dick.
You just wanted to say spotted dick.
Yeah. That's culinary superiority right there, and honestly, terrifying. I mean,
Okay.
Yeah, I know. I haven't had spotted dick before.
Is
Maybe
there
one day I
evidence
will.
that Ben Franklin
Maybe.
enjoyed spotted
Yeah,
dick.
well.
I think he enjoyed food in general.
All right, fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
Last one. The British were fighting while holding cups of tea and tiny sandwiches.
Yeah, that'll hinder you.
So the
Hard to load a musket
Yeah.
with the tea.
Yeah,
wanna get
Sandwich.
third degree
Or you,
burns.
or you load the sandwich into the musket like that. You're just sitting there, just like eating a sandwich, and then you just right.
Fire out a
Right, yeah.
cucumber.
Here's a cucumber slice
Yeah.
coming at you at pace. Yes.
And then I just wrote for this one: the British fought with one hand behind their backs because the other hand was holding a cucumber sandwich. That shows how confident they were, along with wearing their bright red coats. Losing with that level of smugness is an achievement in itself. Thank you. Do I get a PhD for all
That
that?
was Dr.
might be-
Gaz Hayden.
It might be really cool to have you come down and do this presentation for some of the school children.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely what
3
we
to
want
4 year
kids
olds.
to.
More than happy to help you out in any way.
Well, hopefully we've educated you a little bit just now. I'm not sure about what, but hopefully we have, and we can't thank you enough for being a part of this. So Everybody go
Thank
check out
you
Ben
very
Franklin
much
Museum.
to Benjamin Franklin and
And
Holly.
let's transport you back to your correct time. Are you ready?
Yeah, you're
1, 2, 3.
Bye.
Oh! Well, you're not Ben Franklin.
No,
You're actually Simon.
I am. Hello.
Hi, Simon.
I told you
Hello.
Simon was coming. I just didn't know that's when he was going to show up.
No, I didn't know I was coming in at all. It disappeared
Yeah, we just
like magic.
well, as you figured out, we've managed to figure out the formula of how to warp people through time.
Yeah,
we
snapping
got
our fingers.
Ben Franklin, just by snapping our fingers.
Absolutely
did.
brilliant. Yes.
All these people got education and they're looking at ways on like figuring out black holes. and
Yeah,
all
you
that
better
kind of-
call Elon Musk.
Yeah.
I'm really smart. My best friend is Donald Duck. Now he is.
Oh, no, he isn't.
So Simon is here with us from the Worshipful Company of Founders.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
Simon,
The
tell us
badge.
what the hell that means.
Please.
Well, the Worshipful Company of Founders is a livery company in the city of London.
Okay.
It is 660 years old, and we are supportive of the foundry industry, that is the casting of metals.
It's been around for 350 years longer than America.
Yeah, but most things have.
That's true. Fair point. We are in Europe.
And Ben Franklin, when he came to England, was such a newbie, but he was next door to where our hall is now.
Yeah, St. Bart's. We were just discussing that.
The casting of metals. What do you mean by that?
Well, what you do is you heat metal up to a very high temperature,
Yes.
and you pour it into molds.
I've seen this in Game of Thrones. This is pretty cool.
Now I can.
It's how they make swords.
Oh!
But not Excalibur. But I could talk about lost wax methods if you wanted me to, but you really don't.
As fascinating as that sounds.
Maybe we'll bring you back on for another episode.
But there is horse manure involved in it.
Nice.
Isn't there
That's cool.
always?
Well,
That
the
was a
exciting
genuine-
thing about the Founders Guild is that the company that the Liberty Bell was made by is part of that guild. Is that correct?
Well, the current master of the company, I'm in the upper ward, which is why I've got a small bit of bling. He's got a bigger bit of bling. He owns the company that cast the Liberty Bell. Yeah, his company goes back to 1570.
What is it called? Lesson Packs or something like that? It's
Well,
called?
it's now called the Whitechapel Bell Foundry.
Okay.
And it is the oldest surviving company in the world.
And it's still going.
It's still going. Oh,
Very
yes,
cool.
very
And
much so.
so the Liberty Bell was made by them
Yes.
and then shipped to America.
Yeah.
And can you tell us a bit about why the foundry was chosen, first of all, and why was it Philadelphia that chose them? Or did they put in a bid and how did it work?
It's a business transaction.
Okay.
They asked for the Whitechapel Bell Foundry because obviously most of the people involved in the Liberty movement came from England one way or another.
Right.
And so they knew of the foundry, huge reputation for casting bells. And so they said, let's get them to do it. And when it left the factory, it had no crack. And when
That's
it
what I've
arrived in
heard.
America, it had no crack. It wasn't our fault. It was yours.
Well, from what I've heard, the crack was a bit of a fix, that they widened the crack in order to make the tone what it had been.
Well, they had to make it better, yes.
Yeah, it
But-
cracked on the boat, is what I had always been told.
Nothing to do with that.
No, just somebody hit that thing wrong.
It's fair to say, though,
got to
that
Philadelphia, they climbed the telephone pole and rang the bell.
yeah, it was some lads outing. People like him caused the trouble then. But in 1770s,
Yeah, just come home drunk. And it's like,
Now, I did also read that the Whitechapel Bell Foundry may have cheaped out and used pewter
Oh no!
instead of actual lead.
No, it would have been proper,
No,
proper stuff.
just
no.
a rumor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Somebody in Philadelphia made that up, you think?
Yeah, oh, totally. Yes, well, that's they're trying to blame us in England for doing the crack. Mind you, it's fair to say that they also cast Big Ben,
Okay,
and that has a crack.
it does have a crack.
Yeah.
Where's the crack in Big Ben? Where's Big Ben's crack?
All
Where is it?
the way up the side.
Ah, right. You gotta go to the
All the
rear.
way up.
It's in the part nobody's allowed to
Ah,
see.
yeah.
Yes, yeah. It's a very
Guys-
private part.
These
yeah.
guys on the pants on.
Yeah.
You know, they get more on it.
But that gives it that
proper name. Elizabeth
Beautiful
Tower.
tone. And when you celebrated your bicentenary, 250 years ago next year, to 249 years now, Alan was asked to cast a quarter-size replica of the Liberty Bell for every month since independence.
For the bicentennial.
For the
In
bicentenary.
76.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some wag in the American government said, will it come with a crack? And he said, no, it'll come the same way that the original left the foundry. No crack. So
out of curiosity, did it crack?
I don't know. They're wee ones. So
did they just leave it in the fridge too long or something, and it just
probably, yeah. When it was cooling down, so when they got rid of all the horse manure,
That can't be that can be really disappointing though. Imagine like Amazon delivering your fucking Liberty Bell to the door, and you're just like,
yeah, they won't ring it, will they? Because they don't ring any bell when they come.
So they deliver it.
What would they ring?
Oh, hold on, sorry, ding, ding, ding. Here we are. Oh God, there's a crack. No.
It's just like, oh, can you just make sure that my Liberty Bell gets delivered today? And you open it up, and you're just like, yes, it's my fucking Liberty Bell sound, and it's got a big crack in it. You're just like, hang on a minute, right? I need to make a phone call to whoever delivered this, and it's like, well, what happened? Why is it cracked? So I guess you can't really order a new one.
Well, you could.
It just take a few months to get it back to you.
And it's wonderful. We were very lucky recently to go and see some casting of bells for. We were in Austria and we saw some bells being cast for new bells in Romania. So it's still going on. Bell casting is still going on.
Very cool.
Yeah.
One myth I would like to dispel is that it rang on the day. It rang alone on the 4th of July. That is not, in fact, true. Several bells rang that day across the city of Philadelphia. The Liberty Bell possibly being one of them, but at that point, I think it had the crack and it was kind of tone deaf.
Yeah.
So the rest of them, they all rang, and the Liberty Bell's been grouped in and has become the symbol of it. But I just thought everybody should know that it was not necessarily hanging in Independence Hall right that day. If it was only one of many bells.
We're very proud that on your Independence Day, we have a British bell sitting there. There we are. We're still in control.
Yeah, but
we fooled you.
Yeah, but that shit was cracked.
Does it? Sorry.
No, I was going to say, but it is an icon.
It is an
People
icon.
go to it. They adore it. So it's British.
You also reminded me, you were talking about the bicentennial celebration, the centennial celebration. One of the things they had was the Statue of Liberty's arm on display because it wasn't quite created yet, but they did have the arm ready to go.
So which one was it?
Yeah.
Probably
Was it the one holding the torch?
The tatted up one. Oh, I can even tie a nerdy fact into that. On this arm, I have a Sleepy Hollow tattoo, which is where Major Andre, who was working with Benedict Arnold, was captured. So Benedict Arnold, Gaz, if you don't know, because you're staring at me from behind those sunglasses, I could tell.
Well,
He's
you
falling
said,
asleep.
you said, I just said Benedict Cumberbatch. But he could probably play Benedict Arnold.
He probably could, yeah.
I guess so.
Benedict Arnold was an American from Connecticut who notoriously turned to the British side during the war.
He put on a red coat.
He did. He put on the red coat.
Like you?
Yeah.
And now he's buried in Battersea, near our Battersea
Oh, is he
location.
really?
So if you want to go check out his
Is
grave.
he buried underneath Passyunk?
Underneath Passyunk, yeah.
What's that funny smell? Ah, yes. Benedict Arnold.
Actually,
Stinky
in
fellow.
Philadelphia, he married into the Shippen family, which were a family of loyalists. And in Philadelphia, Bainbridge Street actually used to be Shippen Street, but they changed it after Benedict turned. Also, if you go to our Kensington branch for breakfast, you can have Eggs Benedict Arnold, which is...
Is that where it came from?
Yeah.
Is it him?
I named it.
Where did it come from? Fred Smith.
Whoa. Can I have some Fred fried eggs, please? Fried eggs.
They're actually poached with a holiday sauce.
Yeah. Very, very tasty.
No, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
the Benedict Arnold, instead of doing
I'm-
the traditional hollandaise, we do cheesesteak and whiz.
I am here to learn, and I'm learning so much today.
We're so proud of
full,
you.
yeah, my brain is
We
literally
are
bursting out of my skull.
so
right now.
So
proud.
I do, as usual, have a surprise for you for the end of the show. But before we do that, Simon, tell us a little bit
Yes.
about what the founders do now and what they'll be doing in the future.
Well, what we do now is we support charity. We support young people who are involved in the foundry industry. We support young people who are involved in learning about metals and studying at university. We support about 50, 60 young people a year, and we have about £250,000 of charitable aid we give away. We also engage with the foundry industry and work with them. And we are increasing our role within the foundry industry because we believe it's very important to connect with our roots. I'm the odd one out. I'm a lawyer in between two foundrymen, the master currently and the future master, both involved in foundries. And we are diversifying in terms of membership numbers and that. And in the next year, given it's your 250th anniversary, we're thinking of doing a 4th of July barbecue
Love
in
it.
the grounds of St. Bartholomew the Great Church.
Aw, Ben Franklin would love that. He'd be so
Yeah.
sad to miss out.
Well, he'll only be about 10 feet away from us because it's just by the Lady Chapel.
Yeah,
Oh, he's
exactly.
still around? Where's he been hiding all these years?
I know, we do that. He might show up.
Well, he's upstairs, isn't he?
I'm
on your
still
mural?
working on Ben Franklin, Frank. Come on.
Okay, so to wrap up our 4th of July episode, I've gone with a tradition on the 4th of July in America, which is jello shots.
Ooh.
However, the twist is
Oh, no.
I'm going to list out battles of the American Revolution. And if the British won, we have to drink, Stub and I. And if the English won, you two have. Nope. If the Americans won, you two have to drink.
Okay.
So
Okay, this isn't too
here
bad.
are-
This isn't too bad. I thought you were gonna say, I'm gonna kick
Oh,
you in the
you
balls or
think
something.
that, but wait till you taste how strong these jello shots are.
What could possibly go wrong?
Once again, friends, working bar. People are leaving,
Thank
coming and going. All right.
Missing you already.
Okay.
All right.
Wait, before we crack on with this, can I go pee?
Yes.
Is that all right?
It's fine. We'll cut it right there where she's leaving.
Is that okay? I really do need to pee.
Go.
All right, okay, I'm going. Sorry, I'll let this
Possibly
side
go
note.
wrong.
I'll just go to fade to black, like with the logo, and just a pissing sound.
The red coats are coming. Okay, so what are these shots for?
So I am going to read out battles in the American Revolution. And I will read the answer as well. And if the English won, then we have to drink. And if the Americans won, then you two have to drink.
What?
Okay?
And we're drinking the blue ones.
You're drinking
Yes,
the blue
that's
ones.
So
Right.
why are
We'll
there
drink the
more
red
blues
ones.
than reds? Because we lost so many more.
Obviously,
because
they won.
we won.
We
the
won
war.
eventually, didn't we?
How many battles were there?
Well,
throughout the
if we
Revolutionary
actually did every battle in the American Revolution, we would be on the floor. So
Yes.
I've decided just to do the major battles of the
Yes.
War?
American
So
Revolution.
5.
Let's go
On
with
your
5.
mark.
Sure.
Against sets, go.
Oh God.
So the Battle of Lexington and Concord.
Ooh.
The shot heard round the world. The
Who won
first battle in the American Revolution was won by the Americans.
Americans, yeah.
So drink.
Oh, we have to drink.
Oh, we have to drink anyway.
We drink
Who
anyway.
shot
have
the
to
Brits?
drink
We
when
know
you
the
lost.
answer, but we have to drink. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Jello, this is really. I've got to get my tongue in.
Yeah, you do have to get your tongue in there. That is a fact.
They're really strong.
Also,
aren't
for
they?
you listeners and not peepers, this is a beautiful sight right now.
Okay, so my second one.
Wait! I'm not finished yet.
Oh.
I'm trying to get the sounds of
Just
me.
suck, darling. Just suck.
Oh, he's really getting in there. Oh my.
I've got quite a big tongue.
Okay, second one. The Battle of Bunker Hill
Oh, they won that
was
one as
won
well.
by the British.
Oh,
Drink.
We
drink.
I'm going with the
Get
finger
your tongue
method.
in
I'm
there.
doing the finger method.
Yeah, go on.
Oh, that's it.
Holy shit!
Stick your finger
You
in.
just straight up swallowed that. You didn't even use any.
Put
tongue.
your finger in, then
No,
you
use my
swallow.
finger.
Ah, right. I've just been.
Okay.
Simple,
I've just
really.
been putting my tongue in there.
The
Yeah, I know.
battle.
But use your finger as well. It's all about moving it around.
Okay, right.
The Battle
and
of
down.
Brooklyn was won by the British.
Okay.
So we
So-
drink.
Yeah, drink.
Things are
I
not
did-
looking good for the colonists at this
I
point.
didn't even know there was a battle in Brooklyn.
Me neither.
I always just thought it was a turf war.
Washington
between-
ran away in the middle of the night.
Bronx.
He broke all of the normal rules of English warfare and snuck out of Brooklyn in the middle of the night and ran away to Brandywine, which
Correct.
is or Valley Forge, which
Yep.
is the only reason that we were able to continue, or it would have defeated us completely.
Oh, shame. Boo.
The
Coward.
Battle of Trenton, when Washington crossed the Delaware and surprised the British on Christmas, was won by the Americans.
Americans.
Hey, drink a blue
Now,
shot.
What you do? Stick your finger in,
Right. Okay.
turn it around, lick,
Wait. Hang on.
suck.
I'm
Right.
There
Right.
you go.
Let me
Swallow.
just,
Like
let
a
me just
pro.
let me just repeat that. Stick my finger in.
yes.
Lick.
Swirl around a bit. Hang on. Just let me get this for the
Yep.
ASMR freaks.
Gross.
Right.
Lick.
Lick. suck,
and swallow.
and swallow.
Yes.
Cool. You learn
Simple.
something new every day.
Yeah.
Huh?
That's what you're learning?
Yeah.
I'm teaching you about the American Revolution.
Oh, is that what we're here?
Wait, I've still got more to finish, by the way.
Oh, he's
Oh,
not very
thank
good,
God
is
for
he?
that.
Take
Right.
it all.
It's my first
Take it
time.
all.
It's your first. That's what they all say. Such a whim.
Okay, next. The
Go on.
Battle
I'm
of
learning.
Princeton, which is, by the way, where the founder of this company grew up, near Princeton.
Indeed.
And isn't that Trump v. Princeton at the moment?
Is it?
Yeah, I
don't
think
know
he's
what
having
that
he's having a go at Princeton now, isn't he?
Oh, well, he probably would because,
Fair enough.
smart
His son
people
didn't
are
get into that
there.
either. Yeah, quite.
I got it all over my finger.
All right, so the
Lick
Battle
them.
of Princeton. Another victory for Washington.
Oh.
Was that us?
Yep, the first
What a
open
shame.
field battle
So
win
in-
for the
come on, I wanna
Continental
watch this.
Army.
Squelchy, squelchy.
Yeah.
Lick.
Finger it,
And
lick
now
it,
suck.
suck it.
I got it in one.
Yay!
I swallowed it in one.
Yeah, you're beginning to learn how to take it, aren't you?
Awesome.
Okay, next. We got, having retreated to Valley Forge, we've got
I've heard of Valley Forward.
the Battle of Brandywine.
Ooh, this was in Lord of the Rings, wasn't it? No, that's
It
Brandywine
does
Bridge.
sound like it, though.
Yeah.
It sounds quaint.
Brandywine's actually in Maryland. The
No,
state-
it's in Pennsylvania, isn't it? Or
No,
Delaware?
Brandywine is currently in the state of Maryland.
No, it's
No,
in
it's in
Pennsylvania.
Maryland. Brandywine,
Delaware.
Maryland.
Uh-oh.
No
Fight!
way.
Fight!
Come
Fight!
Civil War! Civil War!
You better
Civil
have one.
War!
You can't agree.
Anyway, the British one. So let's just let's
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
drink
drink-
our
drink
troubles
that
away
shit.
here. shall
Brandy
we?
wine,
Yeah.
because that's because we're used to drinking port and things like that.
Yeah,
Fortified wines.
I was
yeah.
never into port, you know.
No, but it's okay. But it's
Okay, next.
Yeah. Can we lose this one, please? I'm enjoying these two.
Yeah, I need
The
more
Battle
lessons.
of Saratoga.
Oh, that's yours.
Saratoga.
A decisive
Yeah,
American victory
Yes.
that led to
decisive.
the surrender of a large
up.
British army.
Who wrote this? Who wrote the decisive
Your mom.
victory?
Yeah, your shot.
No, my mum would have talked about
Also-
Irish.
Oh, wait, is this one?
Also,
Finger.
at one
Yeah,
point,
finger in.
Carly Simon's then partner flew his Learjet to Saratoga.
That was
I
that.
believe
Was
it
that
might
James
have
Taylor?
been.
Yeah.
Yo, I'm getting really good at this.
That's
sucking.
the
It
word
may
on the
have
street.
been Saratoga that Benedict Arnold lost his leg.
I believe that's right.
But I thought
That was-
Did he
James,
carry on
Was it
fighting?
Ticonderoga or Saratoga?
Uh,
One of the two. Yeah, kept on fighting and then got skipped over for promotion, which led him to
Well,
be
I
the
bet
spy he was.
skipped over. I bet he skipped home.
and then and then he's like, let's poach some eggs and put hollandaise on it. A little paprika. It's amazing.
It's
but
good for the
if
leg.
it was James Taylor, wasn't he thinking of Caroline in his mind?
Of course he was.
And because he was a Tar Heel.
In his
All
mind,
right, we're
he
moving
was-
down to the south now, towards
Chapel
the
Hill.
end of the Revolution. The
Yeehaw!
Battle of Cowpens. It was
What?
a significant American victory in the South.
Cowpens.
Cool.
Cowpens.
I'll take
Cow-
Cowpens.
I'll take
Cow and pens.
I'll take this one. I think the American.
I just
one.
told you.
Yeah,
Just do your shot.
Yeah, we've been there,
What
done
you
that.
said?
Shots me. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
It was
I'm just
working
saying
out.
that. Right? Yeah, I'm getting good at this. Watch.
Yeah.
You don't have to watch.
It's-
That was so quick. Well done.
So because you learned from a
Okay,
professional.
and for the last
Like a
one,
No, there's
the
stuff
last
everywhere.
battle of the American Revolution, and since we all know the outcome and America did win, we are going to all do a blue shot for the Battle of Yorktown.
Through our
Oh, yeah, I've heard.
nostrils.
Yorktown.
Yeah, Yorktown.
Well, can I try one of the red ones? Is it a different flavor? No.
Yeah, you show the red. Go for it.
Yeah, should we
Well,
get- let's
You gotta
do it.
Yeah,
drink
let's
the
go,
blue
yeah.
on this one.
Let's.
You've got to drink the blue
Yeah.
on this
No,
one.
let's
Make
do
a
no.
double fist.
Solidarity. Yeah, we'll
Fair
do
Double
Yeah,
that.
maybe we
fist.
should
Alright.
Yeah,
do
we
two.
double
I
fist
think
it,
it's
yeah.
probably best if
You
we
know
all
what?
just do both.
I agree.
Yeah,
Because
solidarity.
But
Philly and London,
which one do we-
it seems
Yeah.
like it makes sense.
I don't have my friendship pin on right now, but
I think
you
I
know
can
what?
put double fingers in this.
We had that one dust
I'm
up,
gonna
and
go
then we had
double
another
fingers.
one.
This
But
jelly
we're now
is
all
not
best of
as-
friends.
So this is for the Red Sox and this is for the Tigers.
Oh, really? In a Philly bar, dude?
What
Yes.
the hell?
Do your
Yes.
shot.
All right. Simon, you're never being asked back again, mate.
Yay!
The stick in your finger.
Oh
thing
wow,
didn't work
those red ones are really strong.
That's what she said.
Malfunction.
Well, as I'm
Malfunction.
sure Simon can attest to, you don't choose the Yunk Life.
The Yunk Life
It
chooses you.
chooses you.
And if anyone that is listening or
Oh, the
watching
red ones are strong, aren't they?
Yeah.
wants to
Wow.
go and see the Liberty Bell, you have to go to Philadelphia to go and see that, or you
Yes,
can just go to
indeed.
Passyunk Avenue and
See it on the wall.
see it on the wall
Yeah.
and stuff
Yeah.
like that. You know, there you go. And there you go. Simon.
Happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th of
everybody.
July. Yay!
Thank you, Simon,
Bye.
for coming
Thank
in,
you,
dude. This is
Simon.
fun.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Oh,
Thank
I
you
just
for
got
teaching
jello
me
on
how
my
to.
I would never be anywhere else but here on the 4th of July.
Love it.
Ah.
Thank you very much for teaching me on how to suck on
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
Oh, I
jello
can't
shots.
fucking believe that's all you took from this.
Pod, it's that Yunk Life Pod. It's that Yunk Life Pod. That Yunk Life Pod. That Yunk Life Pod. That Yunk Life Pod. Living that Yunk life, baby.
Well, he's got to learn somewhere. He's
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
I was hoping you'd say something like that.
Oh, that was.
Yeah.
Hey, that was awesome.
At the end like that.
Is there anything else do we want to do anything else while Simon's here?